Captain Jake Morrison stood in the back corner of the huge meeting room, watching alien leaders argue about his people's future. The room was built inside a space station that orbited around Alteria Prime, the main world of the Galactic Council. Through the big windows, he could see stars and ships moving in the dark space outside. Jake had been to many meetings like this one, but today felt different. Today felt wrong. The aliens were talking fast in their strange languages, and the translation machines were working hard to turn their words into English. But Jake didn't need a translator to understand the fear in their voices. On the giant screen at the front of the room, thousands of enemy ships moved like black dots across space. The Devac Empire was coming, and they were bringing death with them. Jake had fought many battles in his 20 years as a soldier, but he had never seen a fleet this big. High Counselor Zeftar was the leader of all the alien races in the council. He was tall and thin, with blue skin and eyes that never blinked. When he spoke, his voice came out as clicking sounds that the machines turned into cold, flat words. "The numbers are clear," Zeftar said to the room. "The Devac Empire wants us to give up completely, or they will destroy every world we control. They have told us one thing we must do first. All human forces must leave Council space immediately." Dr. Lisa Chen was sitting in the front row with the other human representatives. She was smart, maybe the smartest person Jake had ever met. She studied alien minds and knew how they thought. When she heard Zeftar's words, she leaned forward in her chair. "You want us to run away because our enemies are afraid of us?" Lisa asked. Ambassador Keth Val was the alien who usually spoke for the council when they talked to humans. He had 4 eyes and green skin, and he always tried to sound friendly, but today he looked nervous. "The Devac have made their position very clear," Keth Val said. "They see humans as a problem they cannot control. Your people do not follow the normal rules of war. You change your plans too quickly. You do things that make no sense to them. This scares them very much." Commander Ryan Burke was Jake's second in command. He was a good soldier who had fought beside Jake in many battles. His face was red with anger when he heard what the aliens were saying. "So they want us gone, and you're just going to do what they say?" Ryan asked. "We are not thinking about it," Zeftar replied quickly. "We have already decided. The human delegation has 3 days to remove all human presence from Council space. Your warships, your people, your colonies, everything must go." The room became very quiet. Jake felt like someone had hit him in the stomach. These aliens had been their friends for 50 years. Humans had helped them fight their wars. They had shared their best technology. They had died protecting alien worlds. And now the aliens were throwing them away like garbage. Maya Rodriguez was the chief engineer on Jake's ship. She was young but very smart with machines. She spoke from her seat near the back of the room. "Counselor, humans have given you more. New weapons and defenses than any other race. Our adaptive shields, our quantum missiles, all the things that have kept you safe." "Those things will stay with us," Zeftar said, cutting her off. "We will study them and use them. We are grateful for what you have given us. But we cannot let your presence here risk the lives of billions of people. The choice is final." Jake stepped forward from his corner. Every alien in the room turned to look at him. He was not as tall as some of the aliens, but something about him made them all pay attention. "What if we say no?" Jake asked in a quiet voice. "Then the council will make you leave by force. We cannot let one race destroy the peace for everyone else." Admiral Helen Cross was in command of the human fleet. Her voice came through the communication system from her ship at the edge of the star system. "Jake, our sensors are showing big movements in the Council fleet. They have warships moving toward our position. I don't think they're playing games." Jake looked around the room at all the alien faces. These were the same aliens who had welcomed humans into their alliance 50 years ago. The Zelthari, whose worlds humans had saved from space pirates. The Mokari, whose trade ships humans had protected. The Vorthak, whose new colonies humans had helped build. Now none of them would look him in the eye. 3 days, Jake said. We understand. As the human group got up to leave, Jake heard Keth Val whisper to another alien representative. Maybe now we can finally have some peace we can predict. Jake almost smiled when he heard that. The aliens thought they knew what peace looked like. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The walk back to their shuttle was long and quiet. Lisa walked beside Jake, her face showing the same anger he felt inside. 50 years, Jake, she said quietly. 50 years of friendship. And they throw us away the moment someone threatens them. They're scared, Jake replied. Scared people make bad choices. The Divok played this perfectly, Lisa continued. They knew exactly how to split us up, make the council choose between safety and loyalty. Ryan was checking his tablet as they walked. I'm getting reports from all over council space. Every human military unit is being ordered to leave. Our colonies are being told they have to evacuate. It's happening everywhere at the same time. Maya was quiet until they reached their shuttle. Then she turned to Jake with a strange smile on her face. You know, Captain, we've been working with the Council for so long, we've put a lot of our technology into their systems. Security systems, communication networks, sensor arrays. It would be such a shame if we had to take all of that back with us. Jake raised an eyebrow. Are you saying what I think you're saying? I'm saying we've been very helpful over the years. Maybe too helpful. We've given them access to things they don't really understand, things that might not work so well, without humans around to maintain them. Lisa caught on quickly. The adaptive defense grids, the quantum communication relays, the early warning sensor networks. All designed by humans, Maya nodded. All requiring human oversight to function properly, and all connected to systems that we might need to monitor for security reasons. Ryan was starting to understand, too. You mean we'll still be able to see what's happening in council space even after we leave? Let's just say that leaving doesn't mean we have to be blind, Maya said. As their shuttle flew back toward the human fleet, Jake thought about what was coming. The aliens thought they were making things simpler by getting rid of the humans. They wanted a war they could understand, with enemies who followed rules and fought in ways that made sense. The Divak Empire was about to show them what predictable war really looked like, and when the aliens realized their mistake, when they saw what happened when you fought an enemy without the one ally who could think outside the rules, they would come begging for help. Jake just hoped there would be enough of them left to save. When that time came, the shuttle docked with Jake's ship, the UES Defiance. As he walked through the corridors, he could feel the anger of his crew. These were good people who had spent their lives protecting others. Now they were being told they weren't wanted anymore. But Jake had been a soldier too long to let emotion cloud his thinking. The aliens had made their choice, and they would have to live with the results. The humans would leave like they were told to do. They would watch from a safe distance. And when the time was right, they would return to clean up the mess. After all, that's what humans did best. They solved problems that no one else could solve, even when those problems were caused by the very people who had pushed them away. The human evacuation began at dawn on the first day. Captain Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of the UES Defiance as transport ships loaded with families and workers lifted off from planets across Council space. Each ship that left carried people who had built lives in this part of the galaxy, people who now had to abandon everything because their alien friends had chosen fear over loyalty. Maya Rodriguez was busy at her engineering station, but Jake could tell she was doing more than just coordinating the evacuation. Her fingers moved quickly across multiple screens, and she had that focused look she got when she was working on something complicated. "How are we doing on the timeline?" Jake asked. "All civilian transports will be clear in 36 hours, Maya replied without looking up. "Military evacuation will be complete in 48 hours. We'll have 12 hours to spare before the Council's deadline." "And the other things we discussed?" Maya finally looked up with a small smile. "Let's just say we're being very thorough about removing all human technology from Council systems." Every piece of equipment, every software program, every little modification we've made over the years. Dr. Lisa Chen was at her science station, monitoring alien communications across the galaxy. Jake, you need to hear this. The Council is already celebrating. They're telling their people that removing humans was a strategic victory that will bring lasting peace. Commander Ryan Burke looked up from his tactical display. Peace through surrender. That's not how we taught them to fight. It's exactly how they want to fight, Lisa said. Predictable battles with clear rules. Diplomatic solutions that make sense on paper. They never understood that the galaxy is not a safe place where everyone plays fair. Jake walked over to the main viewing screen, where he could see the last human cargo ships leaving the mining colony on Kepler 7. The humans had found valuable minerals there and had shared the wealth with their alien partners. Now, the aliens would keep everything, and the humans would start over somewhere else. Maya, show me the current position of the DVAC fleet, Jake said. The screen changed to display a tactical map of the galaxy. Thousands of red dots showed the enemy ships moving toward Council space. They were closer now, much closer than they had been during the Council meeting. At their current speed, they'll reach the outer Council worlds in 6 days, Ryan calculated. That's 3 days after we're supposed to be gone. Convenient timing, Lisa observed, almost like the DVAC knew exactly when to make their demands. Jake nodded. The question is whether the Council realizes they've been played or if they actually believe the DVAC will stop once we're gone. Maya's console beeped with an incoming message. Sir, Admiral Cross wants to speak with you. Priority channel. Put her through. Admiral Helen Cross appeared on the screen. She was older than Jake, with gray hair and sharp eyes that had seen too many battles. Behind her, Jake could see the bridge of her flagship, the UES Victory. Jake, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is that our evacuation is ahead of schedule. Every human ship, station, and outpost will be clear of Council space within 2 days. And the bad news? The Council is already moving their own forces into positions we're evacuating. They're taking over our defensive installations, our sensor networks, our patrol routes. They want to make sure we can't come back easily. Jake felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. Are they keeping our equipment functional? That's where it gets interesting, Helen said with a grim smile. They're trying to, but they don't really understand how most of it works. Our adaptive shield generators are already showing problems. The quantum communication relays are losing signal strength. The early warning sensors are giving false readings. Maya looked up from her station. Admiral, are they asking for technical support? They were, but I told them all human technical personnel are busy with the evacuation. I suggested they contact us after we're gone if they still need help. By then, it might be too late, Ryan said. That's the point, Helen replied. Jake, I need you to know that our fleet is positioned exactly where we planned. We're outside, Council space, but close enough to monitor everything that happens. The moment they ask for help, we can respond. What if they don't ask? Jake said. Then we watch them learn some hard lessons about fighting alone. After Helen ended the call, Jake turned back to his crew. Lisa, what do your models say about DVAC strategy? Lisa pulled up her analysis on the main screen. The DVAC empire doesn't negotiate from weakness, Jake. When they demanded our removal, it wasn't because they were afraid of losing to us. It was because they wanted to face an enemy they could predict and control, meaning they've been studying Council military doctrine for years. They know exactly how the aliens fight, what weapons they use, what tactics they prefer. The only variable they couldn't account for was human unpredictability. Maya finished her work and turned to face the group. Speaking of unpredictability, I should mention that we've left behind some going-away presents. What kind of presents? Ryan asked. The kind that will let us know everything that happens in Council space after we're gone. Monitoring devices in their communication systems, sensor probes in their defense networks, data collectors in their computer systems. Maya's smile grew wider. We've been maintaining their technology for 50 years. We know every system inside and out. That's brilliant, Lisa said. We'll be able to watch the whole war from the outside. If there is a war, Jake said, the council might be right. Maybe the Davac will be satisfied with just getting rid of us. Lisa shook her head. Jake, I've been studying Davac psychology for months. This species doesn't just want to win battles. They want to control entire regions of space. Removing us wasn't their end goal. It was their first step. As if to prove Lisa's point, Maya's communication system started receiving emergency signals from deep inside council space. What are you getting? Jake asked. Maya listened to the signals for a moment, then looked up with a serious expression. Multiple Davac scout fleets have just entered council territory. They're not stopping at the border worlds like everyone expected. They're heading straight for the core systems. How many ships? Ryan asked. Hundreds, maybe thousands. And Jake, these aren't the main Davac fleet. These are just the advance forces. Lisa pulled up tactical projections. This is exactly what I was afraid of. The Davac tested the council's resolve by demanding our removal. When the council agreed, it proved they could be intimidated. Now the Davac know the council will choose safety over strength every time. Jake watched the enemy ships moving deeper into space that had been protected by human forces just days ago. The council had wanted predictable peace, and now they were going to get predictable war. Maya, are we still receiving data from our monitoring systems? Yes, sir. Crystal clear signals from all over council space. Then we watch and we wait. The council made their choice, and they're going to have to live with the consequences. And if they call for help? Ryan asked. Jake looked out at the stars, thinking about all the battles he had fought to protect the worlds that were now rejecting his help. Then we'll see how desperate they are, and we'll make sure they understand the real cost of throwing away 50 years of friendship. On the tactical display, more red dots appeared as additional Davac forces entered council space. The invasion was beginning, and the aliens were about to learn what happened when they tried to fight a war without their most dangerous allies. Jake just hoped some of them would survive long enough to regret their mistake. The first council world to fall was Kepler Station, a massive trading hub that connected dozens of star systems. Captain Jake Morrison watched it happen through Maya's hidden monitoring systems, and what he saw made his blood run cold. The Davac didn't destroy Kepler Station. They did something much worse. Dr. Lisa Chen stared at the data streaming across her screens. Jake, this is not normal invasion tactics. Look at what they're doing to the population. On the display, they could see Davac ships surrounding the station. Instead of bombing it or demanding surrender, they were doing something that made no sense according to standard military thinking. They were changing the people. The Davac are using some kind of mind control technology, Lisa explained. They're turning the station's population into workers who obey them completely. The people are still alive, but they're not really themselves anymore. Maya pulled up more data from her hidden sensors. It gets worse. They're not just controlling the people. They're using the station's factories and shipyards to build more Davac ships. Kepler Station is becoming a forward base for their invasion. Commander Ryan Burke studied the tactical implications. That's brilliant and horrible at the same time. Every world they capture makes their fleet bigger and stronger. Jake felt sick as he watched what was happening. The people of Kepler Station had been traders and engineers and families living normal lives. Now they were slaves building weapons for their new masters. How long did it take them to convert the entire station? Jake asked. 6 hours, Maya replied quietly. 6 hours to turn 50 million people into Davac drones. Back in council space, panic was spreading faster than the Davac invasion. High Counselor Zeftar called emergency meetings every few hours. But nothing the council tried seemed to work. Through their monitoring systems, the humans could listen to every council communication. The alien leaders were confused and frightened by an enemy that fought in ways they had never seen before. Our standard containment protocols are useless, reported the Mokari military commander. The Devak don't destroy our defenses. They convert them. Every base we lose becomes a base they gain. How is this possible? Demanded the Vorthak representative. Our intelligence said the Devak were a normal military threat. Ambassador Kethval's 4 eyes were blinking rapidly with stress. Perhaps we should contact the humans, request their immediate assistance. Absolutely not, snapped Zeftar. We made the correct decision. Human unpredictability would only make this situation worse. Jake almost laughed when he heard that. They still don't understand what they're facing. Lisa was analyzing Devak communication patterns. The Devak Empire is built around conversion technology, Jake. They don't just conquer worlds. They absorb them completely. Every person becomes a worker. Every factory becomes a production center. Every ship becomes part of their fleet. And they can do this because? Ryan asked. Because they've been studying Council military doctrine for years. They know exactly how the aliens will respond to every threat. Standard evacuation procedures, predictable defensive formations, conventional weapons that can be countered with conventional defenses. Maya highlighted something on her screens. Jake, look at this. The Devak are avoiding any system that still has human-designed defensive grids. They know our technology, even if the Council doesn't understand it anymore. What do you mean? Remember those adaptive shield generators we installed on the Outer Rim worlds? The ones that automatically adjust their frequency to counter incoming weapons? The Devak fleets are going around those systems completely. Ryan leaned forward to study the tactical display. They're afraid of our technology. Not afraid, Lisa corrected. Smart. The Devak have probably never faced adaptive weapons before. Their conversion technology works best against enemies who use predictable defenses. Jake watched the Devak forces spread through Council space like a disease. More worlds fell every day, and each one made the enemy stronger. The Council fleets tried to fight back, but they were using the same tactics they had always used, and those tactics weren't working. Maya, what's the status of Council military equipment? Jake asked. Getting worse every day. Without human maintenance crews, their advanced systems are failing. The quantum communication relays are down to 60% efficiency. The early warning sensor networks are giving false readings half the time. Their adaptive shields are stuck on single frequencies. Are they asking for help yet? They're too proud. Zeftar keeps insisting they can handle this alone. On the tactical display, Jake could see the Devak fleet movements. The enemy was using a pattern he had never seen before, but it was effective. They would hit a world with overwhelming force, convert the population and infrastructure within hours, then use that world as a base to attack the next target. It's like watching a fire spread, Ryan observed. Each world they take gives them more fuel to burn the next one. Lisa was running psychological profiles on Devak leadership. Jake, I think I understand their strategy now. This isn't just about conquering Council space. They're building a massive conversion network. Meaning what? Meaning once they control enough worlds and have enough converted population, they can launch attacks in every direction at once. The Council territories would become the center of a new Devak expansion that could threaten the entire galaxy. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The Council had thought they were making a simple choice between human unpredictability and alien safety. In reality, they had handed the Devak the keys to galactic domination. How much time do we have before they reach Alteria Prime? Jake asked. Maya ran the calculations. At their current rate of expansion, maybe 4 weeks. The Council forces are falling back on all fronts. They keep trying to set up defensive lines, but the Devak just convert whatever they capture and use it against the next line. And our fleet? Still positioned just outside Council space. Admiral Cross has us ready to move, but we're waiting for orders. Jake knew those orders would have to come from the Council themselves. The humans couldn't just invade Council space, even to help. That would make them the aggressors in the eyes of galactic law. Ryan pulled up intelligence reports from across the battle zone. Jake, the Council is losing ships faster than they can build them. Their military production is falling behind because so many of their factory worlds have been converted. What about their allies outside Council space? The other galactic powers are watching and waiting. Nobody wants to get involved in a war they don't understand. Lisa looked up from her analysis. That's the beautiful thing about the DVAC strategy. They're not just defeating the Council militarily, they're isolating them politically. Every day this goes on, the Council looks weaker and less worthy of support. Jake thought about all the battles he had fought alongside Council forces. Those aliens had been brave soldiers and loyal friends, at least until fear made them choose differently. Now they were paying the price for that choice. Maya, make sure our monitoring systems keep recording everything. When this is over, the galaxy needs to see exactly what happened here. And if the Council falls completely, Jake looked out at the stars, thinking about the converted world spreading like a cancer through space that had once been safe. Then we'll have a much bigger war on our hands. The DVAC won't stop with Council space. Once they have that industrial base converted, they'll come for everyone else, including us, especially us. We're the ones they were afraid of in the first place. The tactical display updated with new DVAC movements. More worlds had fallen in the last 6 hours. The red zones of enemy control were growing larger every day, and the blue zones of Council territory were shrinking. Jake just hoped the Council would swallow their pride and ask for help before there was nothing left to save. 3 weeks after the DVAC invasion began, Captain Jake Morrison received the message he had been expecting. Ambassador Kethval appeared on the communication screen, but he looked nothing like the confident alien who had ordered humans out of Council space. Kethval's green skin was pale and his 4 eyes were red with exhaustion. Behind him, Jake could see smoke and damage on what used to be the pristine Council chambers. The war had reached Alteria Prime. Captain Morrison, Kethval began, his voice shaking. I am authorized by the High Council to request immediate human, military assistance. The Devak Empire has captured 17 major worlds and converted their entire populations. They show no signs of slowing their advance. Jake kept his face calm, but inside he felt a mix of anger and satisfaction. Ambassador, I thought the Council preferred predictable peace. Surely our unpredictable methods would only make things more complicated. Kethval closed his eyes for a moment. Captain, please. Billions of lives are at stake. Entire civilizations are being erased and turned into DVAC slaves. Dr. Lisa Chen moved into view of the communication screen. What exactly are you asking? For, Ambassador, full human military support, access to your advanced weapons and defense systems, your strategic knowledge and battle experience. Kethval paused, struggling with words that clearly hurt him to say. Command authority over all joint military operations. Commander Ryan Burke almost choked on his coffee. Command authority? 3 weeks ago you were escorting us out of Council, space under threat of force. The situation has changed dramatically, Kethval admitted. Jake stood slowly, letting the silence stretch out. Let me understand this correctly, Ambassador. The Council wants us to risk human lives, deploy our most advanced military technology, and take full responsibility for operations that we had no part in planning. Yes. And in return, we get what? Kethval's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Full restoration of human membership in the Council. Complete apologies for the misunderstanding 3 weeks ago. Recognition of human strategic superiority in military matters. Maya Rodriguez looked up from her engineering station where she had been monitoring DVAC fleet movements. Sir, I'm reading massive enemy ship concentrations near Alteria Prime. It looks like the DVAC are preparing for their final assault on Council headquarters. Jake considered the situation for a long moment. The Council was desperate, which meant they would agree to almost anything. But more importantly, if the DVAC successfully converted the Council's core worlds, they would have enough industrial capacity to threaten every other civilization in the galaxy. Ambassador, I need to consult with Admiral Cross and the human fleet commanders. Stand by. Jake cut the transmission and turned to his crew. Opinions? They're desperate, Lisa said. Good. Desperate allies follow orders better than proud ones. Ryan nodded. Their strategic position is hopeless without us. We have all the bargaining power now. Maya grinned. Plus, I've been working on some new surprises for the DVAC. It would be a real shame not to get a chance to test them in combat. Jake activated the fleet-wide communication system. Admiral Cross, prepare for full military deployment. Authorization code Phoenix Rising. Sir, Ryan said with surprise, that's our most classified battle protocol. Exactly. The Council wanted to see what predictable warfare looked like without human involvement. Now they're going to see what happens when you remove all restrictions from human military thinking. Jake opened the communication channel back to Ambassador Keth Val. Ambassador, we accept your request for assistance, but this time we do things our way. Anything, Keth Val said quickly. Whatever you need. First, all Council military forces will follow human commands without question. Second, we get full access to all Council intelligence and strategic resources. Third, when this war is over, the humans write the new defense treaties. Agreed. And Ambassador, Jake added with a cold smile, if anyone on the Council complains about our methods being too unpredictable, remind them that they specifically asked for this. After ending the communication, Jake turned to Maya. How long until the DVAC reach Alteria Prime? Based on their current advance rate, maybe 36 hours. They're not even trying to hide their movements anymore. They think the Council is beaten. They're probably right, Ryan said. Without human support, the Council forces have been falling back on every front. Lisa was studying psychological profiles of DVAC leadership. Jake, the DVAC commanders, have become overconfident. They've been winning so easily that they've stopped adapting their tactics. They're following the same conversion pattern on every world. That's their weakness, Jake realized. They've gotten used to fighting enemies who respond predictably. Maya pulled up tactical displays showing the approaching DVAC fleet. Sir, there's something else. The DVAC are bringing their main conversion ships to Alteria Prime. If they capture the Council's government center, they'll be able to process the entire political leadership. Turn the Council leaders into DVAC puppets, Ryan said. That would give them control over every remaining Council world without having to fight for them. Jake studied the enemy fleet positions. The DVAC had thousands of ships, but they were arranged in the same formation they had used on every other world. They expected the Council to fight back with conventional weapons and standard defensive tactics. Admiral Cross, Jake called over the fleet communication system. Execute immediate deployment to Alteria Prime. All ships, all weapons, full authorization for experimental tactics. Helen Cross's voice came back strong and confident. Jake, we've been waiting for this order for 3 weeks. The fleet is ready. To show the galaxy what human military doctrine really looks like, Maya was practically bouncing with excitement. Sir, the new quantum disruption torpedoes are loaded and ready. The adaptive shield frequencies are calibrated for DVAC energy signatures, and the psychological warfare protocols are prepared for broadcast. Psychological warfare? Lisa asked. Something I've been working on, Maya explained. Remember how the DVAC control converted populations through mental programming? Well, I've figured out how to broadcast counter-signals that can break that programming. Jake smiled for the first time in weeks. So we can turn their own converted forces against them. Not just turn them against the DVAC. We can help them remember who they used to be. Ryan was reviewing fleet positions. Jake, Admiral Cross has positioned our ships perfectly. We're close enough to respond quickly, but far enough away that the DVAC won't see us coming until it's too late. And the Council forces, falling back to their final defensive positions around Alteria Prime. They're expecting to lose, but they're going to try to make the DVAC pay for every inch. Jake looked out at the stars. thinking about all the converted worlds full of people who had been turned into slaves. The Davac thought they had won because they had faced no real opposition. They were about to learn what happened when humans stopped playing by the rules. Maya, prepare all experimental weapons for combat deployment. Lisa, I want psychological profiles on every DVAC commander in that fleet. Ryan, coordinate with Admiral Cross for the most unpredictable attack pattern. You can design. And the Council? Ryan asked. Tell them to get out of our way and let us work. They wanted human military support. They're about to get more than they bargained for. The tactical display showed the Davac fleet moving steadily toward Altaria Prime, confident in their coming victory. In a few hours, they would arrive expecting to face the same broken council, forces they had been defeating for weeks. Instead, they were going to meet the full fury of human military innovation unleashed without restrictions or mercy. The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber slid shut with a sound that seemed to echo forever. Ambassador Lisa Martinez walked down the long corridor carrying a single briefcase. Her footsteps clicked against the polished stone floor. Behind her, 300 alien representatives sat in stunned silence. She had just delivered the shortest speech in Council history, 27 words that would change everything. Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from all galactic Council proceedings. We will honor existing trade agreements for 6 months. After that, Earth closes its borders. Lisa did not look back. She had spent 12 years in these halls, 12 years trying to make the system work, 12 years of watching good people die while committees debated and subcommittees formed working groups to study the problem. The Kepler colony massacre had been the final blow. 3,000 human settlers butchered by Thrakari raiders while the Council spent 6 weeks arguing about proper authorization procedures. Captain Jake Sullivan had sent 17 emergency requests for help. Each one was forwarded to the appropriate department. Each department forwarded it to another department. The raiders had plenty of time to finish their work and disappear into deep space. Lisa reached the transport bay where her aide, Commander Tony Garcia, waited with their small security detail. His face was grim but determined. The ships are ready, Ambassador. All personnel accounted for. Good. Signal the fleet. We leave immediately. Across Council space, the same scene played out on dozens of worlds. Human diplomats, trade representatives, military advisors, and technical specialists received identical orders. Pack up. Come home. Say nothing. On Vega Station, Chief Engineer Ben Foster shut down the quantum communication array he had spent 5 years building. The alien technicians watched in confusion as he packed his tools. Sir, what about the maintenance schedule? Asked Clixian engineer Vex Tar. Ben sealed his equipment case. Not my problem anymore. The technical manuals are in your computer system. Good luck. The array would fail within 6 months. Ben knew it. The aliens would figure it out eventually, but by then it would be too late to prevent the cascade failures that would follow. Dr. Helen Garcia was supervising the evacuation of the Council Medical Research Center on Centauri Prime. Her team had developed cures for 17 different plagues that regularly swept through alien populations. The research data belonged to humanity under their original agreements. She was taking it all. Doctor, surely you cannot remove the viral samples, protested Centauri Administrator Kelvash. Our people depend on your treatments. Helen looked at him with tired eyes. Your government voted to cut our research budget by 40% last month. You said our methods were too expensive. I guess you get what you pay for. The medical supplies would last 3 months. After that, the next plague outbreak would spread unchecked through Council space. Helen had warned them this would happen. Her reports gathered dust in filing cabinets across a dozen worlds. In the Outer Rim territories, Admiral Beth Collins received confirmation that all human patrol ships had cleared Council space. Her fleet had been keeping the shipping lanes safe for 20 years. Pirates rarely attacked when they knew human ships were nearby. The aliens had complained that human presence was militaristically excessive and culturally insensitive. Beth watched her tactical display as the last human destroyer jumped to hyperspace. Let them handle their own security now. Set course for home. The pirate attacks would begin within days. Beth knew the patterns better than anyone. She had tried to teach the alien fleet commanders, but they preferred their traditional methods. Those methods had never worked, but tradition mattered more than results in council space. On Earth, President Dan Roberts signed the final withdrawal order. His military advisors had spent months preparing for this moment. Every human asset was accounted for. Every piece of human technology was either removed or would self-destruct when maintenance expired. "Sir, the Council will likely demand an explanation," said Defense Secretary Amy Clark. They expected negotiations, demands, some kind of diplomatic process. President Roberts set down his pen. They had 50 years to listen to our concerns. Every proposal we made was delayed, modified, or rejected outright. We tried to work within their system. Their system does not work. The president walked to his window overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Human colony ships were already departing for systems beyond Council territory. Humanity had been planning this withdrawal for 2 years, ever since the Council voted to ignore human recommendations about the growing Thrakari threat. Amy, do you know what the definition of insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over, while expecting different results. Exactly. We kept trying to fix their broken system because we thought we could make a difference. We were wrong. You cannot fix stupid, and you cannot help people who do not want to be helped. The final irony was that the Council had never realized how much they depended on human efficiency. Every major trade route used human cargo ships because they were faster and more reliable. Every successful diplomatic mission had human mediators, because they actually solved problems instead of forming committees. Every technological breakthrough came from human research stations because humans focused on results instead of politics. Director Steve Martinez of the Human Engineering Corps had left detailed reports about the infrastructure problems that would emerge. Power grids would fail without regular maintenance. Computer networks would crash without software updates. Transportation systems would break down without replacement parts. The aliens had always assumed they could figure it out themselves. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Captain Frank Miller commanded the last human ship to leave Council space. The heavy cruiser Earth's Pride had served as flagship for the Council Defense Force for 15 years. As they passed the boundary marker, his communications officer received a flood of messages from alien commanders. "Sir, Admiral Zethkar is requesting immediate conference. Priority Alpha protocols. Tell him we are no longer under Council authority. Our communications are closed." The alien messages became more desperate as the hours passed. Threats turned to bribes. Bribes turned to pleading. None of it mattered. Humanity had made its choice. Lisa Martinez arrived at Earth 3 days after delivering her speech. She found the planet transformed. Military construction was happening around the clock. New shipyards filled the orbital space. Scientists and engineers were pouring into research facilities that had been expanded beyond recognition. "We are not running away," President Roberts told her during their first meeting. "We are moving forward, without their dead weight holding us back." The withdrawal had taken 18 months to plan in secret. Every human in Council space had known it was coming. Not one had leaked the information to alien contacts. That level of coordination and loyalty was something the aliens had never understood about humanity. They were about to understand many things they had ignored for 50 years. The first lesson would be simple. Competence matters more than politics. The second lesson would be harder. Some mistakes cannot be undone. In the council chamber on Zerion Prime, Speaker Zethkar stared at the empty human section. 112 seats that would never be filled again. His administration had been proud of reducing human influence in council affairs. They had achieved their goal completely. The first crisis reports were already arriving. Trade delays, communication failures, security breaches, medical emergencies, infrastructure collapses, all the problems humans had been quietly preventing. For decades were suddenly visible. Zethkar activated his personal communicator. Emergency session. All department heads. We have a situation. He did not yet understand that they had many situations, and no one left who knew how to fix them. The humans had left without a word because words no longer mattered. Only consequences remained.